Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. My name is Adam Glyn. Over there is Dax Holt. He's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I am very cold on the East Coast. It's freezing here. Dax, obviously this week has been an insane week on the West Coast. First, how are you and your family? Are you guys doing okay?
We are good. Luckily, this one is all up further north from us because we're in Orange County. Got a lot of texts this week. We are all good. Our house is safe. But Adam, the winds were insane this week, and that is what made it so scary. Like, I have never experienced winds like that. Like this is like hurricane style winds, but there's no hurricane. There's just winds coming through, and that's why the fires. The second one starts up, it spreads like football fields lengths every second because the wind just blows all the embers, blows the flames. And so it was interesting. Yesterday, I went to leave. And my kids were going to be home for like an hour period before they went to their Nana's house. And I literally wouldn't leave them alone. I'm like, I know what it's like to have fire go from miles away to at your front doorstep in minutes. And I'm like, I can't leave them. It's too scary outside right now.
Yeah.
That's how insane everything has been out here.
I've never been around wildfires like that, in our area on the East Coast. You just don't, obviously, you don't have that type of issue on the West Coast. You've seen that more and more over the last decade. You've had experiences in the past, again, you're in Orange County, where you have to water your house, correct? Have you had that?
Well, we were evacuated, oh God, is it like maybe 3-4 years ago at this point? Maybe even more. I don't remember. But the fires came right up to our doorstep. Like they were right next to our house. Took out a couple homes in the area, like 3 or 4 homes around us were all that burnt to the ground. But yeah, it just comes quickly. We live in an area where it's very hilly. So like you can see the hills and then behind us, the mountain a little bit more, and it all burned to a crisp.
Yeah. I know. It's just an insane thing that fortunately I don't really have to worry about that as of now, but who knows the way the climate works and climate changes go on. I mean, I feel for California. This is me being like, I'm working on projects that are based in California. I don't know how it affects those projects. If it stalls them, when the town gets back together, when people start working again, I don't know. I think everyone's just trying to figure out what's going on.
I've never seen this impact as many celebrities. Like we've seen a lot of Malibu fires where people go. We've seen the Montecito mudslides. I don't think we've ever seen as many celebrity homes getting taken out because the Palisades area, it's this spot in between Brentwood and Malibu, and it is densely populated with so many celebrities. And we'll obviously go through the list of everyone that's been affected a little bit later on the Raw Rundown. But this is wild to see so many famous names getting impacted by the fires. It's really interesting here.
Yeah, it's definitely tough.
And sad.
But, it's sad. It's sad. It's insane. And I mean, you could say like I see on social media some people are like kind of shitting on some of the celebrities who lost their homes, but this isn't all celebrities who lost homes. This is regular people who lost their homes, and these are people who just worked so hard for what they had and just lost everything. So it's not cool. It's really tough. But with that said, we still have the show goes on here at the Hollywood Raw podcast. We give you the top 10 stories of the week. How do we give the top 10 stories? It goes by Google search, it goes by data, and lastly, it goes by our personal opinion. But mostly, it comes down to the data, what people are clicking on. Fortunately for the podcast, before the wildfires, a lot did happen in the world of pop culture. So we will get into all those stories so you know everything that's going on in pop culture before the weekend, before we get to the Raw Rundown. Dax, do you have a review?
Got one for us. All right. This one comes from CSN610610. Clearly, they just went with the generic name. It's the headline says an entertainment news podcast unlike any other. Gave us 5 stars. Don't know how it's taken this long for me to leave a review when I haven't missed an episode for a year. I look forward to their Raw Rundown every Friday. Their unique Hollywood backgrounds bring such a cool spin to entertainment news. Adam is hilarious, and I love Dax's laugh.
Aww. Very nice. CSN 610610. Thank you for that. Thank you for the
I love
kind
it.
words. I appreciate that.
That one hit my heart. Thank you.
That one hit mine. That hit mine. So I appreciate it. Thank you for the review and keep them coming, guys, especially for 2025. We very much appreciate it. On to the Raw Rundown, starting with number 10.
All right, number 10. This one is a huge story. Armie Hammer is now going to be back to acting. Someone is actually giving a chance back in Hollywood. I kind of thought that his career was going to be dead after the whole sex abuse scandal, but that is not the case. He is going to be playing a Dark Knight, The Dark Knight, not necessarily Batman, but that is the name of his new movie, The Dark Knight. It is, and it's not a Chris Nolan movie either. This is going to be his first role since his acting career was basically unhinged after the allegations of sexual abuse. That was 4 years ago at this point, but he is going to be a crime-fighting vigilante. And this one is not Batman. So I keep saying that because I named it literally the same as the other Dark Knight movie. But according to Variety, Hammer will star in this Owl Bowl directed film as Sanders, a man who turns to vigilantism, becomes a folk hero on social media and infiltrates a local police chief. And again, this all sounds like a Batman thing, but it is not. So this is a big deal for him because he was kind of cast out of Hollywood. Everyone turned their backs on him. So for him to get another opportunity to star in a movie, I think is huge.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, listen, I want Armie Hammer to succeed. I know he had a little bit of trouble. And listen, he paid his debt for what it was. I've listened to his interviews and he's been very honest. I mean, how honest can someone be? I feel like he's been very truthful. At least I fell for it. I've reached out, Dax. I don't know if I've reached out to so many people for Armie Hammer to get him on our podcast. And I even said, I won't bring up, like, I don't even care about your incident. I'm more curious about your experiences in Hollywood because he's been so candid with like Hollywood and his career and what happened with his situation, that I want to hear more about his experiences in Hollywood because I feel like he's just a very honest guy. And I root for his comeback. I want the guy to work. I want the guy to be happy. He seems like he's really worked a lot on rebuilding himself, rehabilitating himself. So I don't know. I'm all for his comeback. Dax, what are your thoughts on it?
100%. I'd love him to come on the podcast. We won't bring up
do you
BDSM.
Forgive him? Are you one of those things where you're like, all right, he paid, we're not canceling him out. I feel like he should get another comeback.
I mean, I guess I just, with that story, I feel like I don't know enough about all the details of it, which is funny because we've reported on it a bunch, but I don't know. Who am I to say? Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know with this one. I don't know if it was blown out of context. I don't know. I remember all the like erotic cannibalism stuff, but then did anything bad happen, or was it mostly just us finding out about his kinks?
I think it was more about the kinks. I think there was maybe one thing where it was like the girl was with it, where, I mean, when I mean bad, he was having a
did he hurt her, or she just
I think
didn't
he scarred her a little bit,
weird...
but like it was more like kinky. It was more kinky stuff. It wasn't like going out and really doing any sort of cannibalism stuff. And I think, like he said, things were taken out of context for the most part.
Gotcha. I mean, if it was an out of context thing, then, but I swear he was like accused of raping a woman. I just don't know what ended up happening after that. So that's where I'm like, I don't feel like I've got a good stance on this because I don't know the outcome of all of those allegations.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm for it. I've heard him on do a lot of interviews. There's a lot of allegations against him. I guess.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. So the LA District County Attorney's Office ultimately declined to file charges against him, citing insufficient evidence after conducting a thorough interview. So, okay. And then it seems more like a lot of allegations came in. He got kicked to the curb, and now he's trying to fight to get his career back.
Yeah. So,
okay. Yeah. There you go.
Armie Hammer, let's let him back in Hollywood, guys. It's again what we said before, and we found that out releasing with the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's situation, a lot of the cancellation came within the industry, not from the external voices out there. People have microphones and the internet. It just came from people inside the industry that just had it out for people, and probably agents and managers who are trying to get their artists and performers out there, their actors out there, and trying to, it's one last guy who's taking a role. So I don't know. I'm for this role. I don't know if it's a big role. I don't know if it's a guy if this role is if it's a big budget film, but good for Armie Hammer. Dax, number 9.
Number 9, the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively saga continues, and here is the newest part of it. There is now a voice recording where you hear Justin Baldoni basically going on just ranting and raving about Blake Lively. And so, this is the latest thing that is in this saga, and over it ends with us. It actually never ends is what it should be called. It never ends. But after months of rumors, this is where Blake Lively, she filed a complaint in California's Civil Rights Department. They go back and forth. The New York Times published the article. He then sued for $250 million in a libel lawsuit. Well, this new voice note from Baldoni has been released in which he claims Lively ordered him and his loved ones to go to the basement during the premiere of It Ends With Us. All right. So in this clip, it was released Tuesday on the Megyn Kelly show. Baldoni, addressing his dream team who edited the film, said, on what could have been one of the most beautiful nights of my life, career-wise, I literally was sent to the basement with all my friends and family over an hour because I wasn't allowed to be seen. She didn't want me anywhere near the rest of her or the cast. So they ushered me off the carpet, sent us down to the basement where we were down there together, my friends, my family, the people that I love the most. We started laughing because of the ridiculousness of this whole thing. And I realized on a night that was supposed to be full of joy, I was in the basement with people that love me the most, and we were all just joyful and laughing. None of this shit matters. None of it. That's not why we're in this business. To attend a premiere could have been celebrated like that. We're in it because we're the artists, and we believe that we are the ones that want to create and touch people's souls and move on. Do you talk like that? Does anyone talk like that? Anyway, let me just keep going. And that's what we did. What both of you did, I believe, will follow us the rest of our lives. Truth will prevail, and light and love will win. It almost sounded like that was supposed to get leaked out.
Yeah, well, that's so. How does it get exposed? Like that whole thing on of all things, the Megyn Kelly show. So I think there is a little bit of smearing on both ends here.
Did you see the person in our private Facebook group that put a bunch of bagels with cream cheese and said that's all I can picture every time you say smearing?
I want to make sure I enunciate it well, but I think there definitely is some, there's some smearing on both ends here. How does, of all people, Megyn Kelly is the one to release this? Yeah, I think we're just dancing around it. How this case settles out, I think it just settles out of court somehow. I think there's a lot of money switching where the New York Times give Baldoni some money, Baldoni gives Blake some money, and then everyone winds up, it becomes a wash. Ultimately, I think the ultimate damage has already happened so far. There's not much more damage that can happen. The money.
It's interesting though, the amount of people, you still have people very divided on this story. Some people are so pro Blake. Others are still very pro Justin, saying that she's the mean girl. I mean, you rarely see a story like this in the headlines where people are so divided still. And some of them are just, they've picked a side and they're not changing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I haven't picked a side yet. I'm just in the middle. This is the only thing I do know. I do know that Baldoni was very stressed out during the filming of this movie. I knew he was going through a tough time. It was probably from the stress of the set. So there's definitely some tension there. And he was working on not working on himself, but trying to clear his head, and not in a bad way, meditating and he was, honestly, that's the only reason why I feel like if I had to pick a side, maybe leading towards the Baldoni side, just because I just knew that he was going through a lot there. And the only reason was he might have been overly stressed out. And I think, again, I'm from the outside looking in. Blake is obviously a bigger deal in Hollywood. I think Baldoni realizes that, and he would almost. I don't think he would talk down to her. With that said, there are some allegations from Blake towards Justin that are pretty intense, and like if you're doing a kissing scene with a partner, do you kind of where's the line there? Because he has some intentions where he's trying to make the scene better. I mean, he's very invested in this film because he's a director and he owns the film and he's acting in it as well. So did he push a little too far that push her out of her comfort zone? I don't know. And I don't know. I'm torn on this, but I'm sitting back and waiting for more stories to come out regarding this. Dax, number 8.
Paris Jackson celebrating 5 years of sobriety, and this is sobriety from alcohol and heroin. I didn't realize she had such a heroin addiction back in the day. But obviously Michael Jackson's only daughter, she went onto social media and she said, "Hey, I'm PK and I am an alcoholic and a heroin addict. Today makes 5 years clean and sober from all drugs and alcohol. To say I'm thankful would be a poor euphemism. Gratitude hardly scratches the surface. It's because I'm sober that I get to smile today. I get to make music. I get to experience joy of loving my dogs and cat. I get to feel heartbreak. It's all glory." And then she went on. This is huge. I mean, she's a 26-year-old and she's had quite the life experience. I think she's experienced a lot of loss, obviously, with Michael passing away when she was younger. And, she's close with her brothers. But I did not know that she got into heroin. I did not know that that was a thing. I knew alcohol, and she actually posted a really interesting clip. If you go watch it, it's a video and it kind of chronicles her life and how out of control she was. And then it kind of circles back to now her being clean and sober and how happy she is in life. So I'm happy for her. I'm happy that she has been able to find sobriety and, enjoy life once again.
What is the relationship between Debbie Rowe?
Obviously they were very close after Michael had died, but as of like this moment today, I don't know if they're still close or what their relationship looks like.
I'm surprised there's not photographers working on Debbie Rowe. I feel like she's one of those people you're just curious what she looks like now.
Now, I mean,
Interesting person.
I think when everything's going on and, when Michael was around, that I think the curiosity was there. At this point, just pictures of Debbie Rowe walking around, I don't think are very lucrative for a photographer.
Yeah, I mean, but she was married to Michael Jackson. She was a nurse who married Michael Jackson, which just in general is just an insane
thing. The whole thing was wild.
So wild. I mean, she met Michael when she was working at a dermatology office, and they were treating Michael Jackson for vertigo. So just being in a relationship with Michael Jackson.
Everything related to Michael was wild and interesting. All right, let's move on.
All right, what number are we on? Number 7?
We are on 7 is right. Number 7, Twitch, his widow, Allison Hulker, is now detailing a bunch of heartbreaking final words to her daughter, Wesley. So if you remember Twitch, who was on the Ellen show for many, many years, he was one of the exec producers. He died by suicide back in 2022. But now his widow is actually speaking up, talking about his death and talking to People magazine. They did a whole big long interview. This was published on like January 7th, in which she's talking about the end of his life, the last things that he said to his daughter, and actually revealing a lot of details that some people are kind of turned off about. But basically she said that the last thing that he said to his daughter when he dropped her off at school was, "I wish I could be your Superman." And that right there is heartbreaking. At the time, obviously, the daughter didn't think much of it. Now she's a teenager. She is trying to process everything going on. But more than that, she also talked about his struggles discovering she didn't know as much as she thought she did about her husband. He was in possession of drugs like mushrooms, pills, and other items. But she said that, that was kind of scary to figure out that she didn't know, and that he was hiding so much that he had shame. I guess she was going through journals and alluded that he had been sexually abused in his childhood by a male figure. She's revealing all this stuff, and there's a lot of Twitch fans that are coming out saying, "What are you doing? Why are you saying this? Like, Let him rest in peace.
I saw on social media there was a comment from a friend of Twitch saying, and he left it on People Magazine's Instagram. He said, "The whole thing made me sad. He's gone. Why tear apart his name? I was fully supportive about you moving on and being happy, but this paycheck was not worth disgracing his name." Did she respond to this at all? Because
I
obviously
believe she did. I would have to pull up the post. Let me see if I can pull it up quickly enough here. But I believe she did. Yeah, she said, I'll always love you. Just trying to keep people safe, to ask for help and support." So she was basically saying, look, people are going through a lot. I'm doing this interview to help other people. And then again, there's people firing back saying, well, clearly this is the reason he wasn't he was not feeling safe in his own home, because she's willing to go rat him out. But listen, people deal with death in their own ways. It just when I started reading, I was like, oh, why is she talking about all this?
Yeah,
it felt weird.
It was tough to hear about, like especially the headline was tough.
If she didn't even know about it and she was married to him, how do you think he'd feel knowing the world knows about this, sexual abuse when he was younger? That's the part where I cringe a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think the headlines that came from the story itself are really tough. So I can understand that people are reading it the wrong way. But then the other part is I understand why her wanting to let her truth out. So people, she came from a point of, maybe I could put out my story so I could be helpful to people. So let people know they're not alone. But it's ultimately up to the people, other people are grieving with Twitch's death in their own ways as well. So, obviously she was the closest one to him as his wife, but there was a lot of, I guess, demons there that she didn't know about, but other people are learning about it through headlines, and maybe they didn't want to learn about it through that. So, yeah, interesting thing, but she's moved on. She's dating a guy now. And, I'm sure she's got to be, they have to be financially well off. You just wonder, like, where does it go 5 years from now? Does she go back to, like, teaching dance classes? Like, how do they navigate life from there?
I hope he had a life insurance policy. I hope that, that the family is taken care of is all I would hope for.
I hope so as well. I hope the children are well, and her as well. Dax, number 6.
Well, the Golden Globes happened this week. A lot of people were talking about it, so we definitely have to mention it. I won't go too into detail, but Nikki Glaser was praised for her hosting skills, which is always a hard thing to do. Everyone is very critical of any host that does award shows, but I think her monologue was praised. Did you watch the monologue? Were you happy with it?
I did.
You're a comedian. Did you think it was pretty funny?
It was so good. She was great. She read the room well. She was funny. She pushed the limit, but didn't make people feel uncomfortable. It was fun. It was playful. It was nice. I mean, just a great tone. She's a stand-up comic, and she's a black belt in it. The one thing, here's my biggest thing about the Golden Globes is, Dax, do you remember anybody who won an award?
Yeah, Demi Moore.
Okay. Do you remember what she got it for?
Acting.
Yeah. None of the movies, nothing was memorable. So, like, obviously there's memorable moments of the awards show, like the Vin Diesel calling out or saying hi to The Rock, which became probably a bigger story than it should have been. Nikki Glaser's monologue, which is great because everyone watches that and want to see it. But overall, when it came to the actual awards, there was nothing that was substantial. There's nothing that's like timely or timeless, because now the Golden Globes sort of tee up the Oscars, and there's no movie. There's just no movies out there. I don't even know what movies could be nominated for movie of the year for the Oscars. I feel like it's just a dead year as far as when it comes to content in the industry. It makes me nervous for 2025, because we put so much emphasis on these comic book movies, which, hey, I know they make money. I think it's good for business, but when it comes to actually film, I don't know if those movies, we hear about them anymore. There's just no excitement with any of the movies of 2024. So
yeah,
less excitement for the Oscars.
This is going to be the biggest career jump for her. I mean, I know that obviously, the roast, the Tom Brady roast, really put her on the map. This, though, once you start hosting stuff like this and they keep inviting you back to host the Golden Globes, now you are in the room. The biggest celebs in the world know your name. They know your face. you have officially made it. And when you leave an award show and everyone's applauding it and saying what a great job you did, you're in. You're now. She'll be back next year. They're gonna have, and the more you do this, the more of a household name you become.
She mentioned that she got paid less than a host did it in the past.
Doesn't matter.
And
it doesn't matter. It is worth taking less money and becoming the huge star, because now she proves herself. She can ask for more money for next year.
She's going to do well. She's already doing well. She's going to do it next year. I think I put money on that she'll do it next year, just because she knows it's a good opportunity. She's smart enough. And I also think she enjoys it too. Like, who wouldn't want to do it? And apparently, from what she said in interviews, a lot of people actually turn it down, but she gets it. And now she's in the room. People understand her. The industry knows her. She's known by every single talent agency, manager, celebrity.
She becomes a very desirable person to have. And once you start hosting stuff, it's going to be good. A lot of families at the Golden Globes this year. It seemed like everyone was bringing their parents. Adrian Brody showed up with his parents. Zoe Saldana, she showed up with her mom. Who else showed up? I felt like everywhere I was looking, Ariana Grande showed up with her mom. It was like everyone was there with their parents this year. It was weird. I really liked Demi Moore's speech. I thought that she knocked it out of the park for having never won an award before in her career. She literally landed that speech, and it was so good and like moving, and just loved it. I was like happy for her. I had no idea that she'd never won another award. Like, she's so famous. She's been around for so long. I would have just assumed that she's won other things at this point in her life, but she hadn't.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I to be honest with you, I'm excited to see Conan host the Oscars. I think Conan's doing it. But I'm not excited to see any of the awards, because I don't even know who's going to be nominated. It was a bad year in movies, ultimately. Dax number 5.
Big breakup news. Austin Butler and Kaia Gerber have split after 3 years of dating. This is according to a couple of reports. People Magazine, TMZ are reporting this, saying that they quit. They called it quits at the end of 2024. And, he was absent from the Gerber family vacation. And, like, they kind of started this low-key dating. What was it, like 2 years ago, or at the end of 2021, they started doing this like dating. And then they were seen on family trips together. And this was right around the time that, he was really blowing up for the Elvis movie. She was with him, I want to say, after the Golden Globes, and then she was with him after the Oscars. Did not go to the Academy Awards with him, but went to the after party with him. And so she was kind of around for his real glow up going on. But now they've decided to call it quits. So it doesn't say really if it was a nasty split or anything like that, but that they are no longer together.
I don't think we'll ever know what the ultimate reason for that split is. They're two pretty private people, two good-looking people. I mean, that was a good-looking couple right there.
No kidding.
So my feeling, this is a split, but it's not the do-all end-all. I think they end up back together somehow in some way. I think they're a good fit for each other. They're with each other for 3 years, which is a good amount of time. I think they're just young enough where they want to explore, but somehow they come back together. But Kaia Gerber on the market, very pretty girl in person. And she was in that movie Saturday Night Live, that they made a movie about Saturday night based on Saturday Night Live at the beginning. And she was actually a good actress too. So yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. She should get more acting roles. But yeah, they broke up. Hope they're okay. And I'm sure they'll both do okay. Dax number 4.
Jessica Alba. Also, it seems like going to be back on the market.
This was a surprise to me, man.
I did not know this, but it seems like she is now separate from her husband, Cash Warren, and there are multiple reports saying that they are headed for a divorce. And it looks like they're going to be pulling the plug on their nearly 17 years of marriage. And this, according to TMZ, sources told the outlet on Wednesday that the couple is moving forward with the divorce and that there were signs of trouble in paradise. She's 43. He's 45. They got married back in 2008 and have been dodging divorce rumors for years. However, they were recently spotted out on the town separately without their wedding rings. And so they've been photographed numerous times. I will say, though, they were at a recent, I want to say it was like a Lakers game or maybe Clippers game. I don't remember. they didn't have their wedding rings on, and they were sitting together at that game. So I'm like, do they not wear their wedding rings a lot? Or was that just them, going out together to be seen together, but had already kind of started moving towards a divorce? I didn't see it coming. If you remember when they first got together, it was a really big deal because she was working on the movie. He was the assistant to the director, and she started dating him. And it was like, she's going for this assistant. And it was always this big like joke about how she was this big movie star, up and coming movie star. And then she got with like an assistant dude, not like another big celebrity. And that kind of followed them for many years, but they kind of worked through it. They didn't care. They didn't listen to all the chatter, and had seemed happily married for a very, very long time.
Have you ever met Jessica Alba?
Nope.
Ever seen her?
Maybe. Trying to think
Alba,
at an award show. I may have seen her at an award show at one point.
She was a pro when it came to the paparazzi. The paparazzi would always work on her because it was like funny. It was almost like funny to work on her because she would just like go about her life and act like you're really not there. Mm-hmm. So the photographers would shoot and she would just completely ignore it. Like they just were not there. It was like kind of
Isn't that the best thing you could do though?
It is the best thing you do, but she was so good at it. And I would mess with her. Like I'd go up to her with my camera and be like, "Hey Jessica, I'm auditioning for a silent film. Can you just walk to there and not ignore me completely and try to talk to her?" And she would ignore me completely. And that was like the funny, and she would never laugh. She would never smirk. She would just kind of just ignore you completely. And actually that was the joke of the TMZ camera guys. Like if you saw Jessica and Cash walking, you would go, "Cash, how do I make Jessica laugh? What do I do?" And then she'd maybe laugh because you were going through Cash to get her. Because she was probably the best person at ignoring you.
That's
and I was like, "Hey, you want to see somebody ignore me? Watch this. Hey, Jessica, what's going on?" And then it was funny because she was so good at acting like you just did not exist. Like she would see through you. But
she wouldn't even turn her head to look at you. Like how does she know the difference between a fan saying hi to her and a camera person saying hi to her? Because you don't want to look like a bitch to a fan, right?
Yeah. I think she just has great peripheral vision where she could look straight and somehow in the corner of her eye she could see if that person has a camera. I don't know how she is to fans, but somehow in the corner of her eye she could see that I had a camera and knew like to look around me like I was not there. Like, did she not see me? Like, what just happened? I don't know how she is to fans, but I was surprised by this one. I mean, there was obviously some rumors that there was stuff going on for a while. However, I mean, they were together for 16 years, which is it's like it just thought they were just keep staying together. Like that was it. But I do remember when they first, isn't it crazy? You remember 16 years ago when they first started dating?
And you're looking and like all their kids are growing up at this point. I'm like, I have been doing this shit for too long, bro.
I know.
When I see Scurry Cruz like out and walking down the street at 18, I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, no, I remember the day she was born. Oh my God, I'm so old.
If you saw Surrey Cruz at a bar, Dax, we'd say, "Hey, let me buy you a drink." I've known
that's
you.
Weird.
That'd be weird. I've known you since you're a baby, but you didn't know me.
You know how creepy all of that sounds? Nope, and nope.
Go up to Surrey Cruz at a bar. Surrey, you don't know who I am, but I've been talking about you since you were
literally the day you were born. I got kicked out of the outside the Scientology Center in Hollywood. They told me to get out. And that's a true story. I literally was shooed off by the Hollywood Scientologists.
When I was younger, I used to work, and this is when I was like really bad with cash. I was working like cash jobs, and I would go to a bar, and me and my buddies would buy someone who was at the bar like a drink, but we would tell the bartender to say it's from this other person down at the other, like another weird person at the end of the bar by himself in the corner. Mm-hmm. So it'd be like, "What? Hey, you have a drink that's bought by that guy there," and it'd be like a really weird interaction between the two strangers. And I don't know, it's so stupid. All right, Dax, number 3.
So many relationship stories this week. This one was a big one. Zendaya, Tom Holland, they are officially engaged. They have been obviously linked for so many years. They claimed that they were friends for a long time. Then they were spotted kissing in a car, and that's what really finally acknowledged that they were in a relationship. And now they have moved to the next level. They got engaged, and this was over the holidays. He was spending it with her family, so I'm assuming waited for the family to actually pop the question. Found out that he had asked her dad quite a while back for his permission to ask his daughter to marry him. The dad said yes, of course. And I think they are the cutest couple. Not much new there, though. I mean, she did walk the red carpet at the Golden Globes, showing off her gigantic diamond ring. I had read somewhere that it was about 5 carats. Huge ring, but nothing much more to this story other than people are really excited for them.
Yeah, happy for them. Good couple, great guy, good girl. I don't really know her too well, but I know he's a really good guy. Good for them. Happy for them. They've kind of been dating for a while, and it just kind of, I still think of Zendaya as a really young girl. So to see her engaged is like, wow. I don't know. She's been around for a while. So, all right, Dax, number 2.
Got to talk a little Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster. They stepped out this week for the first time, hand in hand, confirming their relationship. We obviously got a great guest this week on our Wednesday episode. If you did not listen, go check it out. Number 1, we were talking to Joe Andaloro, who is a very well-known camera guy that we are very tight with. We were doing a great interview with him and talking all about this. And then we got Jessel on, who is probably one of the most successful camera guys in the entire world, gets the biggest photos of celebrities. And he happened to get these same photos that night of them walking around in Santa Monica, but happened upon them, wasn't expecting it. And it looked like he says that it looks like it was definitely a set up photo shoot for this People magazine exclusive story that he stumbled upon and kind of took the set out from underneath them, but nevertheless was able to get a great set of photos. And I just really think it's interesting that they would do setup photos. I'm not hating on it. At a certain point, you want to tell the story, but you want to tell it in your own way. And so setting up photos is a very normal thing to do. It's always just interesting to hear who will do setups, because everyone makes it sound so taboo, but it is very common in Hollywood.
Very common. Yeah, our conversation with Joe and Delara, Joy of Everything on TikTok, and Jessel is just a really good. Listen to our Wednesday episode about the story behind the story of the shots of Hugh Jackman. I mean, yes, they were setup shots, and it's just fun to hear that like major celebrities are doing them now. It used to be Kim Kardashian's doing it, but she really was the person who used the paparazzi to her advantage, and now the biggest stars in Hollywood are now doing it for their own announcements. So fun, and Jessel financially did very well with those photos and stole the exclusive ultimately from People magazine. I know they're probably pissed. I mean, listen, like he said, everyone got what they wanted, but I know People magazine wanted to get a little bit more because they could have made a few bucks on it as well. But yeah, check out our interview on Wednesday. Dax, the number 1 story of the week, obviously, is the California fires. A lot of celebrities have lost their homes. Dax, who's some of the celebrities that you read about that have lost their home this past week?
I mean, so many. The story just keeps getting more sad and more sad. And as of right now, so we're recording this on Thursday, the winds have died down, but the winds are supposed to pick back up. And so if they're not able to get control of the fire during this downtime, then it could just continue to rage through Pacific Palisades. But I can tell you, Paris Hilton lost one of her homes. It was like this beachfront property that was a vacation home for her, because I think she lives more in the Hollywood Hills. But she had purchased like this Malibu home for $8.4 million with her husband Carter. It is gone. Our buddy Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag, they lost their house very they went on and they were talking about on Instagram and have been very open and honest about it. What a tragedy it's been to see their house burnt to the ground. I saw Spencer also post that his parents lost their home as well. Leighton Meester and Adam Brody, they had this beautiful $6.5 million property that is completely burnt to a crisp. It had 5 bedrooms, 6-bedroom house. That doesn't make any sense. So there's either 5 or 6 bedrooms and bathrooms in that one, but there's photos of it. It is with flames just rolling out of the garage, and it is completely gone. Anna Faris lost her home. She had a $4.9 million home in the Pacific Palisades. There's photos of it leveled. There's nothing left. Miles Teller, obviously huge actor right now. He had a house in Pacific Palisades that they purchased for $7.5 million. It is now wiped out. There's nothing left. You see a charred car in the driveway as well, but there's, nothing there. Eugene Levy lost his home, which is pretty sad, in the Temescal Canyon area. Just even going through all of these is so sad to me. Anthony Hopkins lost his home. Billy Crystal lost his home. John Goodman lost his home. Cameron Matheson from, General Hospital, his house gone. Let's see, Diane Warren, who is very, very well known in the music industry. She has had some of the biggest songs in history. She lost her beachfront house. Our friend Melissa Rivers lost her house. That one was very, very sad to see. So I'm just bummed for all of these people. Ricky Lake's house is gone. I have never in all my years of reporting seen so much devastation when it comes to celeb reporting. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in California. We saw the town of Paradise get completely demolished. We've seen fires rage through Montecito. We've seen fires rage through Malibu, but we've never seen all these names connected in one moment to fires. And, obviously these are celebs, so they get the most coverage, but, it's just sad to report on.
Yeah, Dax, let me ask you this, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but these fires obviously took out a lot of homes, and people's lives are changed forever because of this. How does this affect just Hollywood in general when it comes to like shows and movies being made? Does it affect it at all, or when you had the fires in the past in Malibu, did that affect the industry at all, or is it just sort of
I don't think so, because it's not like it's taking out all the studios. It's unfortunately homes that now people have been uprooted. They have to figure out their stuff. So if someone's working on a production, maybe, but again, I still think, at the end of the day, the world continues to rotate. So people are going to have to go back and do their stuff. It just, is what it is. It sucks, man.
It sucks. Yeah.
Watching this and knowing that feeling that a lot of these people are going through when you leave your house, you've packed up your stuff, you've fled as fast as you can, and you're literally watching the news. And I'm telling you, I bet most of these people found out their house was gone because they're seeing photos on all the blogs because Backgrid, I think, like, went out and photographed a lot of the homes because they've got drones, they've got all this kind of stuff. I'm sure most of these people are finding out that their house is gone because of Backgrid photos. Yeah,
it's a really difficult thing. So much of their stuff just done. Like it's just really tough. All right, well, you guys are probably just watching everything in the news. We don't need another sour voice into it, but I hope you guys enjoy the Raw Rundown. Make sure you guys leave a review on our YouTube page. Actually, check us out on Red Coral Universe. Leave a comment. Subscribe to our page. Check out our private Facebook group called Off the Record. Ask us some questions. We should do an Ask Us Anything episode. We haven't done one of those in a while. Maybe we do one. We try to do it like once a quarter. Follow me at Adam Glyn, GLYN. Follow Dax Holt at Dax Holt. See you guys next week.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more where that came from. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily. Hurry up. Come on, let's go.